back to the Fourth Estate Militia Actual Play. We started off this week's session with a little bit of behind-the-scenes chatter since Improv was still on Planet X for a few more days, and Horatio was stuck in traffic on his way home from work. I had been talking with our beloved GM PickledPops during the week about ways to bring in more personal involvement from the characters, and we stumbled on the idea of starting a Barrens Fight Club as a hook to get a little more skin in the game for Juliet. Character motivations get discussed and clarified, and we make a plan for the future direction of the campaign. It's time to begin episode 66. Yeah, 'cause I'm gonna be the king.
I don't know if you guys have noticed this or not. You guys have been pushing the entire story from the get-go. And so, like, I haven't had a huge chance of, like, just stopping and chilling out and exploring some of the funner things. You guys have been going, like, no, we know what our goals are. We know what we want to do. So it's been great. It's made my job as a GM pretty easy. But at the same time, it's just like, there's a couple of things that I've wanted to, I've hoped to bring in that I haven't had the chance to.
As a player, that is gratifying to hear. And as for the Fight Club, yeah, actually, this would be good timing for it, because previously Juliet didn't really care that much, except as a way to make Nuyen, and she thinks there are easier ways to make Nuyen than deal with all the icky social aspects of managing a Fight Club. But now she thinks of, I mean, she doesn't really think of the rest of the gang as people yet. She's in this weird sort of limbo situation where there's something clicking with her on an almost instinctive level with the rest of the dwarves. So now she sort of has this vague concept of them all as pets that she has to watch out for. And part of that would be to make sure all of them are, well, not just well equipped, but well trained. And a Fight Club is really a good way to make sure that you can sort out the chaff from the grain and brush up on skills and maybe even recruit some real talent into the force.
We would need to find a location. If we're going to do it as mobile, we would need to find multiple locations. We would have to make inroads with some of the other gangs, I would say, to get them to pony up some people for us. Because just having bum fights just doesn't feel very... Yeah, I'm not against it. It's just it feels a little low budget for us, given what we're already doing.
Yeah. I mean, when you think about it, we're one of the, for as far as gangers are concerned, we're probably one of the best options out there for this area of the Barrens. Especially since we can now say we pulled off a job or two with the entire gang involved. They can talk up the attractive the perks and whatnot, all this gear and stuff. So why not help turn this Fight Club into almost half recruitment center? Was Kendall thinking just fists or other forms of mass mayhem?
So as me the player, I'm a little hesitant to have people versus animals just because that smacks of serious inhumanity. So that's kind of like a put it to a vote. Is everybody okay with one dude fighting a dog to the death kind of thing? Yeah, that kind of goes a little bit further than I was hoping for. I like the idea of keeping the animals more as protection in the area, maybe.
Yeah, I wouldn't say Juliet wouldn't actually like the idea of animals because they're too predictable for her.
And if we got into blood sports, we would get as technologies notice, and that doesn't really feel like us either. So I would say, just underground fights, very limited on the rules. No fatality is like the only real requirement of it.
I'm not even certain. Guns maybe.
Yeah.
In addition to hand to hand.
Yeah, but then we would have to have the crowd be able to watch. So if we pulled out guns, the crowd could get shot.
True. And that's where something has to come into play. Whether we even want to go that advanced of a route, or whether we just keep it simple. Hey, Horatio.
Hey. No, I'm glad you jumped in because we were about to do a duo, so you picked a good time to start.
My apologies for being late.
All good.
No, you're good.
So, quick recap. we were thinking about figuring out a bit of a side narrative for establishing a fight club. And with Juliet's recent halfway, quarter of a way conversion to a
Uh,
normal person,
Her beginning transformation.
that she's starting to think of the rest of the gang as actually valuable beyond just, either Nguyen or amusement dispensers. So she's considering now seriously investing into a fight club as a way to either retrain our current members or recruit the more talented folk we find. But if we did so, we'd also need to be testing for more than just hand-to-hand combat, and combat with guns is more difficult to keep under control in your average concept of a pit fight ring. Thoughts?
I kind of like the idea of making them gladiators. Like, give them some. If we just give them like guns and a knife, then it's just a fight. Like that's all it is. But if we actually give them some kind of weird weaponry, like I don't know, like the thought came down more from what improv is capable of making. Like a baseball bat that explodes when you hit someone. It only does like 3p, but the bat literally explodes.
The Barrens Olympics.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, sounds good.
I really like the idea of a Barrens Olympics. Do like a javelin toss with like a grenade wrapped around the end, so like when they
Yes.
throw it, it explodes. And having like marksman competitions going. Like you do like a normal archery, shotguns, actual like rifles, but then you get into like heavy weapons with like missile launchers, flamethrowers, machine guns.
I get the feeling that Juliet's gonna fall in love with our lineup of psychos for this sort of. How would Horatio react to this? Is my question.
Worth.
He would remain silent and just scowl at you.
I'm guessing he's just empty, of course. Oh well.
Yeah, I think he's still setting his system up, and he's still getting home from work and everything.
For some reason, I can't help but picturing you guys turning into like the Athens of the Barons. Like if you want to go like the Olympic route.
I mean, Juliet does it in the Matrix. She would love to just figure out how to do it in the, on the meat side.
See, realistically, I'm trying to find a way to keep our ragtag group entertained. I don't really picture any of the four of us wanting to be just, drug dealers or weapon smugglers. Like Horatio wants to rule the barons. Well, what do you do when you rule though? You have to make decisions, you have to have
Right.
decrees. I don't really think that Juliet just wants to make a bunch of money and then stay home and plug into VR. That's why I'm trying to think of something that would be fun for us to do, but that still fits in the character of everybody. That's why I'm,
But
I'm thinking like the gladiator Olympic kind of things. I think we could have fun with that.
yeah, like you go the ancient Roman idea, like the gladiatorial arena, like the big Roman arena was actually very rarely used for gladiator fights solely. It was like again, if you look at it historically, it was more chariot races, naval battles, like mock naval battles, and crazy crap like that.
It was a wonder.
They didn't call it the arena. They didn't call it the Colosseum. They called it the Carnival. It was a massive carnival. I mean, and what better way to keep people amused to put them on their side? And again, like coming just because I'm already falling in love with this idea as a person involved in the story. Like, what better way to exert your influence in showing, for the lack of a better way to put it, the power of Rome than having a big giant party that's that you guys control.
And that's the thing. Juliet, in the end, she's half hedonist, but also very much more that sort of stunted teenage. The one who's been kicked all their life and is just starting to come around to the realization that they're now at the top of the food chain, but they don't know what to do to integrate with the society at the top of the food chain or how to deal with people looking up to them. So, figuring out how to sort of put her power fantasy world from the Matrix and insert it into real life. Oh, she'd jump on that idea. So this would, yeah, yeah. I think a Baron's version of a Colosseum is probably a really good path to this sort of thing to keep her happy in the long run. I don't know what it'll do to her psychology, but well, we'll see. Okay, so first things first, we gotta deal with. I'm thinking logistics now. The concept is sound, and I really like it, and it would fit Juliet's personality. The next question is
It wouldn't just fit
location.
hers; it would fit the entire groups, in
Yeah,
my opinion.
yeah. I mean, it would be perfect for Horatio's attempt to start become Baron's king. I'm not sure how it would work with Kendall.
That's one thing I don't think we've really discussed. What's Kendall's ultimate goal? Like, what's his driving force behind all of this?
So far, his goal was to get him some. It was that very short-sighted. I grew up in the ghetto. I never had anything, and now he does. So he's trying to find an identity, and he really doesn't want to be part of the Crimson Crush. I know, gasp, because then he's just another ganger. He's not a person. He's a member of the Crush. So something that would raise up his status as a person to be respected would be a big deal to him.
See, now I really need to ask that question to Improv.
I'd like to, I don't know, blow up the moon with a bomb. Bombs.
That's the funny thing. I think we almost shortchanged ourselves in terms of character development at first by starting as gangers because it's hard to really pull together those long-term motivations when you know you're starting out at rock bottom.
But
On
that's the Baron's lifestyle, though. Like,
yeah,
you live hard and you die young.
it makes perfect sense.
And then
And now Juliet,
whenever you finally reach that point of like where you guys are, like, we could actually be around a while, like here.
Mhm.
And this is the sort of questions that pop up in their brains and the things they have to answer for themselves.
like none of us want to die, but we don't expect to live.
I don't know. I kind of got the vibe that we're all developing to the point where we all have that aspiration. Like, wait a minute, maybe I won't be a statistic in the Barrens, and maybe I'll be the one who gets out.
Yeah, because I'm going to be the king.
There
Exactly.
he is. So how much have you heard?
I've been listening. I've just had food I had to get out of the oven, and
Okay, perfect. All right, so you're all caught up. Oh, jeez, it's really working out in terms of all our characters transforming.
Story wise, to me as a GM, this has been incredibly interesting and the sort of thing. I don't know if you guys had as much fun as I did last week, but like last week was honestly the proudest I've ever been of myself as a GM. Just seeing like all this stuff kind of organically come to fruition, like nothing that I've pushed on you guys or anything that I've used to railroad you guys. Like you guys have just ran into all this cool stuff that I've had in the background going and like getting to show you all of it and seeing your characters and the story change so dramatically to what I had planned.
That's because you put shiny things on all of your hidden plots, and we of course saw a shiny thing, and we just went running forward like dangling keys in front of a baby.
Yeah, but
Runaway train.
but like you guys got there on your own. From the GM's perspective, this is like the sort of thing that I've always read about and I've always wanted to have happen, and it's actually happening. And I'm just like I can't help but be super excited.
Thank you for jamming it all because it's really easy to have one side of the equation if you're motivated. Have one particular good player or a GM who really hopes and puts all the groundwork in, and then the players just don't really poke around enough. So, on our
You guys haven't quit poking around. That's the thing.
thank you for giving us the material to poke around with. That's what I'm trying to say, I guess.
Well, we haven't heard
I
much
think
from Horatio yet. Why don't you tell us what you're thinking, buddy?
good idea.
actually, I mean, I'm happy with the idea of making a Barrens Fight Club. That's definitely in character.
Do you guys want to pursue that now since Azzy's not here and kind of put the main story on hold for a little bit, or do we want to pursue where we left off last week?
I really want to close out the story arc of everything with Red Hot, but I feel kind of shitty doing that without Azzy here.
Yeah. We can say we were doing the Fight Club stuff in the background over the past few weeks. So, how would Horatio want the Fight Club to start looking from the get? What would be his contribution to the vision? So I know Kendall was thinking mobile and fist fights, right?
I think avoiding fatalities is a good idea because if you start doing
Okay.
blood matches, somebody's basically going to hire a team of runners because they're going to say they're killing all the people in the Barrens, and we're going to get taken out by other runners.
Grudge matches. Yeah.
I think leaning more towards getting other gangs to fight rather than just turning it into bum fights with a bunch of sinless squatters.
Ooh, I like that because that's going to be more entertainment, right? And from the improv side of things, we could be giving her, sim rigs on the helmets, right?
Mhm.
And then we could make like cheap BTL sims to distribute. If you've ever gone somewhere really poor and there's like these crappy DVD.
Hey, that's how I buy all my movies, man. Those things are great. I get 3 of them for $1. And yeah, they were filmed in some Malaysian theater where people are walking around and laughing, but hey, it's 3 of them for $1.
But that seems like something we could get into. I really like the mobility because I think that's just safe.
Yeah, agreed.
And I lean towards it being sort of like an urban combat kind of thing.
You
Like
mean
death
team oriented?
matches. Yeah, like death matches might be cool, but we could do our own little obstacle course, cordon off a block.
A discount urban brawl.
Yeah, something like that, except with home like Barrens rule, which
You,
means no rule.
I'm actually thinking about Survivor in some of the later seasons where it's like you compete for this bag. What's in the bag? It's a machete and 3 rungs off of a ladder or something like that. So if we
I mean, we could
included,
have a new theme every week, right?
yeah, I'm playing off of that obstacle course idea. Like, say you get over the wall first, you get the bag. It has a helmet or it has a ballistic mask with low light in it to give that competitive advantage to that person.
It'd be great if there were certain weapons just thrown in there, but they had different ammo, and some maybe wouldn't even have ammo, so you might fight really hard to get to the shotgun and then find out it's empty.
Okay, yeah. This is sounding good.
Wait, before we go too far, are we just recreating the Hunger Games right now?
No, because they'll get paid in Nova Coke.
There we
Deal. I
go.
like it.
I was about to say it's a voluntary Hunger Game, so it's not nearly as bad.
Okay, so we're looking at a cordoned off block, like a square block, plus maybe a couple thousand million in year and Nova Coke to pay the entrance and drop off certain little goodie bags around to fight with.
Oh, I think if you lose, you don't get paid. Only winners get paid.
Okay, 4 million for us, right?
The first couple of times we do it, we'll probably have to pay them just to earn trust, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, fair enough. Okay, so let's see. We need the sim rigs first. We can check the prices on those. Second, we'd need locations. Mr. GM, remind me, we've got the Crush to the north. We got the Spiders to the south. What about east and west?
East, you pretty much immediately run into the lake.
Okay.
I'm sorry, to the west, you immediately run into the lake. East is more Crimson Crush. You guys had started more in the middle of Crimson Crush territory. You guys have gotten to the point where you're more on the outskirts, just because they've been getting their crap kicked in.
Okay. So what's beyond
Yeah.
the Crush to the east?
You run into the separate faction of the Crimson Crush, the second one.
Weren't they the ones that Red Hot was supposed to be? So
We
where are the...
thought, but it turns out he was actually doing stuff on behalf of the Spiders,
Okay, yeah.
which are
Okay.
doing stuff on behalf of KE.
All right. So what we're looking at is just a quick negotiation with the Crush, which is probably going to be easy considering how relatively effectively well off we are compared to them. Would we be able to even talk with the Spiders after what happened with that Russian guy who tossed us into an urban brawl match?
No, if we
that
see
was the Brain
Spiders,
Eaters, not the Spiders.
Brain Eaters, my bad.
yeah, I think we're basically at war with the Spiders,
Yeah,
given
right.
everything we've seen.
Okay.
We did just blow up like 55 of them, so yeah, I don't think they'd like us very much right now.
Okay, so we're holding this stuff in our own territory or in Crush territory?
I'd say in crush territory because we could always entreat them to be like for at least the first couple, we could use them as security. Still keep
That
like the
works.
executive security as us, but as turf security, that's our kind of our way of bringing in the crush and like our tribute to them for letting it happen on their turf.
I mean, we're gonna say that they sponsor it, even if we're paying for most of it, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, that
we're gonna
sounds
have
good.
to.
It's a good way to have recognition right off the bat, rather than the unknown red wires hosting something.
I don't think we're exactly unknowns anymore.
True.
Yeah, I've been keeping your public awareness secret on purpose.
Ooh,
Let's just put it that way.
sneaky GM. So sim rigs are 1,000 a pop. How many people do we want on the field at once?
I mean,
Yeah,
why
fair.
are we buying them? Why don't we just go hit up the electronics store?
Actually, that's a good point. That's a really good point.
You know, there's probably other things that Improv might need there. You know, then we can steal some stuff for her.
Of course, this session was recorded just after Christmas, and given that we had family in from the United States, I got sick as frag, which is pretty apparent in my voice. Improv's player as Technology PR rejoins us in the next session as he will finally be returning from his home planet. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.